Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. For years, Aaron Rodgers had everything but the weapon to finish the job. He was an MVP in 2011, one of the most talented quarterbacks the game had ever seen. But Green Bay kept falling short when the playoffs arrived. Then, in 2014, they drafted Davante Adams. By 2016, their chemistry wasn't just good, it was lethal. From 2016 to 2021, Rodgers and Adams became the most precise connection in football. The numbers were staggering. Adams averaged 98 catches, nearly 1,200 yards, and 11 touchdowns per season. Rodgers, throwing almost exclusively to Adams in critical moments, ripped off back-to-back MVP awards in 2020 and 2021. Defenses knew where the ball was going. They still couldn't stop it. Between 2019 and 2021, the Packers were nearly untouchable in the regular season. 39 wins, just 10 losses, 3 straight 13-win campaigns, and 2 NFC Championship appearances. They fielded a top-5 scoring offense year after year, all built on the Rodgers to Adams connection. For a brief window, it felt like destiny. Then, it all collapsed. In March 2022, Adams was gone. Green Bay had offered him a bigger annual salary than Las Vegas. But money wasn't the issue. Adams had watched Rodgers feud with the front office, threaten retirement every offseason, and openly clash with the direction of the franchise. The Raiders offered him something Rodgers and the Packers couldn't: stability. A reunion with his college quarterback Derek Carr, and a 5-year, $140 million contract with $65 million guaranteed. The impact on Rodgers was immediate and brutal. His passer rating fell from 111.9 in 2021 to 91.1 in 2022. His near-perfect 37-4 touchdown-to-interception ratio crashed to 26-12. Without Adams, his precision vanished. The Packers stumbled to an 8-9 record, and they missed the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. Adams got his money and put up the numbers: 100 catches, 1,516 yards, 14 touchdowns in his first year in Vegas. But the wins never came. The Raiders finished 6-11. Derek Carr was benched, and Adams was left holding the ball in a franchise with no direction. Together, Rodgers and Adams were unstoppable. Apart, both men lost everything that made them great: Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. Tom Brady was already a legend before Rob Gronkowski ever entered the league. 3 rings, endless wins, but in the biggest moments, something was missing. From 2005 through 2009, New England kept running into the same wall in January. Brady was still great, but he lacked a weapon who could dominate playoff defenses by sheer force. Then 2010 came. Then came Gronk. Drafted in the 2nd round, he was raw power packed into a 6'6" frame. By his 2nd season, he redefined what a tight end could be: 90 catches, 1,327 yards, and 17 touchdowns, a single-season record for the position. That year, Brady threw for over 5,200 yards and 39 scores. The Patriots stormed back to the Super Bowl. From 2010 through 2018, Brady and Gronk became the most feared quarterback-tight end duo in NFL history. Gronk caught 79 touchdowns from Brady, more than any quarterback-tight end pairing ever. In the postseason, they were even deadlier: 12 playoff touchdowns together, second only to Jerry Rice's dominance. In their 3 Super Bowl victories as a duo, 2014, 2016, and 2018, Gronk accounted for 37 catches, 556 yards, and 3 scores. When the games were biggest, Gronk rose tallest. But glory always comes at a price. Between 2012 and 2018, Gronk endured 9 surgeries. He missed half of 2012, all of Super Bowl 46, and the playoffs in 2013. In 2016, he was sidelined again. By 2018, even when New England lifted another Lombardi, he was a shell of himself. He finished with just 682 yards and 3 touchdowns that year. At only 29 years old, his body gave out. Gronk walked away. Then came the other half of the breakup. Brady was tired too. Not of football, but of being treated like just another cog in Bill Belichick's machine. In 2020, he left New England for Tampa Bay, signing a 2-year, $50 million deal. Almost immediately, Gronk unretired to join him. One more run, one more shot. The magic returned instantly. In 2020, Gronk's regular season numbers were modest: 45 catches for 623 yards. But when the stage was brightest, the chemistry came back to life. In Super Bowl 55, Brady hit Gronk 6 times for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns, burying Kansas City and claiming his 7th championship. It was the final act of their greatness. In 2021, Gronk played one more season before retiring for good. Brady went on without him, but it wasn't the same. His red zone efficiency cratered. His yards per attempt dropped to the lowest mark of his career. The Buccaneers limped to an 8-9 finish in 2022, and then Brady too finally walked away. Brady and Gronk weren't just teammates. They were a dynasty within a dynasty. A partnership so dominant it changed the very idea of what a quarterback and tight end could be together. Apart, they were legendary, but together, they were unstoppable. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Joe Montana was already great, already a champion, already known as one of the most precise quarterbacks to ever touch a football. But in 1985, when the 49ers drafted Jerry Rice with the 16th overall pick, the game changed forever. Montana had been brilliant. Now, he had the ultimate weapon. Rice's rookie season was quiet. Then, in 1986, he detonated. 86 catches, 1,570 yards, and 15 touchdowns. Defenses couldn't cover him, couldn't match his speed, couldn't stop his roots. Montana suddenly had the perfect target for his perfect touch. From 1986 through 1990, Montana and Rice were the gold standard of the NFL. In 1987, Rice scored 22 touchdowns in just 12 games, an NFL record that stood for decades. In 1989, Montana threw 26 touchdowns against only 8 interceptions, won MVP, and led the 49ers to a 14-2 record. That year's Super Bowl was a slaughter. San Francisco destroyed Denver 55-10, and Rice ripped the Broncos apart with 7 catches, 148 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It wasn't just a win, it was a coronation. Between 1988 and 1990, with Montana throwing to Rice, San Francisco went 38-10. They won back-to-back Super Bowls. They nearly three-peated, falling just short in the 1990 NFC Championship against the Giants. Montana's passer rating soared over 100 twice in that era, when the league average barely touched 75. Together, they weren't just efficient, they were untouchable. Then everything cracked. In 1991, Montana suffered a devastating elbow injury that cost him nearly 2 full seasons. By the time he was ready to return, Steve Young had taken over. In 1993, the 49ers traded Montana to the Kansas City Chiefs, and one of the greatest duos in sports history was ripped apart. Montana was still sharp in Kansas City. In 2 seasons, he threw for over 5,400 yards and 29 touchdowns. He made the playoffs both years and even reached the AFC Championship game. But without Rice, he never touched the Super Bowl again. The unstoppable force had been divided. Montana and Rice together defined an era. They turned San Francisco into the dynasty every franchise envied. But once they split, the magic was gone. One of the greatest partnerships in NFL history became a story of what was and what can never be replicated. Steve Young and Jerry Rice. When Steve Young took over in San Francisco, he inherited the greatest weapon any quarterback could ever ask for. Jerry Rice wasn't just a receiver, he was the ultimate cheat code. And together, they turned the 49ers offense into the most efficient machine the NFL had ever seen. From 1992 to 1998, Young played at an unmatched level. He posted a passer rating over 100 in 6 of those 7 seasons, an unheard-of standard in that era. Rice was his constant, averaging 98 catches, 1,363 yards, and 11 touchdowns per season. Defenses knew what was coming. They still couldn't stop it. The peak of their reign came in 1994 and 1995. In 1994, Young threw 35 touchdowns against just 10 interceptions, posted a 112.8 passer rating, and won league MVP. That year's Super Bowl cemented their legacy. Against the Chargers, Young threw a record 6 touchdown passes. 3 of them went to Rice, who finished with 10 catches, 149 yards, and 3 scores. It was an offensive masterpiece, one of the greatest performances in championship history. And they weren't done. The very next season, Rice delivered the best year of his career. He hauled in 122 receptions for 1,848 yards and 15 touchdowns, proving even after years of dominance, he was still ascending. For 2 straight seasons, Young and Rice weren't just the best in football. They were operating at a level the league had never seen before. But even legends can't outrun time. In 1997, Rice tore his ACL on opening day, missing 14 games, the first major injury of his career. Young still played at an MVP level, throwing for over 3,200 yards with 19 touchdowns and a 104.7 passer rating. But the offense wasn't the same. That season, the 49ers were bounced in the NFC Championship by Brett Favre's Packers. Rice returned in 1998, but the edge was gone. He still caught 82 passes for 1,157 yards, remarkable numbers for most receivers, but below his own impossible standard. Young put up 4,170 yards and 36 touchdowns, but concussions began to mount. By 1999, his career ended after just 3 games. Rice kept playing, adding to his career totals, but the dynasty they built together had already slipped into history. Steve Young and Jerry Rice weren't just a duo. They were the final chapter of San Francisco's golden age. Together, they left defenses helpless and rewrote what offensive football could look like. But once injuries and time split them apart, the dynasty was finished. Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. The Pittsburgh Steelers built their identity on defense. From 2007 through 2010, it was James Harrison, Troy Polamalu, and a steel curtain revival that carried the franchise. Ben Roethlisberger was solid, but the offense wasn't feared. That all changed when Antonio Brown arrived. Drafted in the 6th round in 2010, Brown exploded onto the scene in 2013. He caught 110 passes for 1,499 yards and 8 touchdowns, instantly proving he was no ordinary receiver. From that moment, Roethlisberger and Brown became the most productive quarterback-receiver duo of the decade. Between 2013 and 2017, Brown was untouchable. He averaged 114 catches, 1,524 yards, and 11 touchdowns per season. He led the league in receptions twice, yards twice, and was named first-team All-Pro 4 straight years. Roethlisberger thrived right alongside him, averaging 4,522 passing yards and 29 touchdowns during that same span, the best stretch of his career. With Brown as his top weapon, Roethlisberger turned Pittsburgh's offense into one of the most explosive units in football. From 2014 to 2017, the Steelers went 45-19, won 3 division titles, and made 4 straight playoff appearances. Their offense ranked top 5 3 different times. On paper, they looked unstoppable, but the story never ended in glory. Pittsburgh never reached another Super Bowl. They were bounced in the 2016 AFC Championship by New England and suffered multiple shocking playoff exits. Every run ended in heartbreak. By 2018, the relationship was unraveling. Brown was clashing with coaches, skipping practices, and openly criticizing Roethlisberger. Still, he produced 104 catches, 1,297 yards, and a league-best 15 touchdowns. But it was his last season in Pittsburgh. That offseason, the Steelers shipped him to the Raiders for just a 3rd and a 5th-round pick. After the breakup, both sides crumbled. Brown never reached 850 yards again. Off-field chaos destroyed what should have been a Hall of Fame career. Roethlisberger, without him, was diminished. His passing yards fell to an average of 3,307 per season. His touchdowns dropped, his interceptions climbed, and his passer rating plummeted from 97.2 with Brown to 89.1 without him. The yards per attempt that had defined their explosive offense collapsed from 7.7 to 6.2. Pittsburgh's attack slid from elite to ordinary. Together, they had been the most dangerous duo in the league. Apart, they became proof of what happens when talent collides with ego and opportunity is wasted. Roethlisberger and Brown could have been remembered alongside Montana and Rice, Brady and Gronk, Manning and Harrison. Instead, their legacy is one of football's greatest breakups brilliance that burned hot, then self-destructed. Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin. By the late 1980s, the Dallas Cowboys were broken. They hadn't won a playoff game since 1982, and in 1988, they bottomed out at 3-13. The dynasty that once defined the NFL was gone. Then came the rebuild. Jimmy Johnson took over, drafted Michael Irvin in 1988, then Troy Aikman first overall in 1989. The wide receiver and quarterback became the centerpiece of a new era. a partnership that dragged Dallas back to the top of football. From 1991 through 1995, they were the engine of a dynasty. Irvin was unstoppable, averaging 93 catches, 1,443 yards, and 7 touchdowns per season. He was at his most dangerous in January. In the 1992 postseason alone, he caught 16 passes for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns as Dallas tore through the playoffs to win Super Bowl 27. Aikman was the perfect counterbalance: calm, efficient, deadly accurate. In that same 5-year stretch, he completed 63% of his passes, threw 81 touchdowns, and elevated his game in the postseason, where he posted a 94.0 playoff passer rating, one of the best of the era. Together, they made Dallas unstoppable. From 1991 to 1995, the Cowboys went 60-20, winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. But dynasties never last forever. By 1997, Irvin's production slipped to its lowest since his rookie year, 963 yards and just 3 touchdowns. Then, in 1999, disaster struck. He suffered a career-ending neck injury after only 4 games, finishing his career with just 10 catches for 167 yards in his final season. Aikman wasn't far behind. After 1995, injuries and concussions took their toll. From 1996 through 2000, he averaged just 2,300 yards and 9 touchdowns per year. At only 34 years old, battered and concussed, he retired after the 2000 season. Together, Aikman and Irvin restored Dallas to glory. They were the faces of the Cowboys' last true dynasty, a combination of toughness and precision that delivered 3 Lombardi trophies. When they fell, the dynasty fell with them, and Dallas has been chasing that standard ever since. Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. Before Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, the Indianapolis Colts were stuck in mediocrity. From 1990 to 1997, they had just 2 winning seasons, 1 playoff win, and an offense that never ranked higher than 12th in the league. They were irrelevant. Then came 1998. The Colts drafted Manning first overall and paired him with Harrison, a receiver they'd taken 2 years earlier. That single move changed everything. Manning's arm and Harrison's precision reshaped Indianapolis overnight into one of the most dangerous passing attacks football had ever seen. Harrison's breakout came in 1999. He caught 115 passes for 1,663 yards and 12 touchdowns. Manning threw for 4,135 yards and 26 scores. The Colts jumped to 13-3 and won their division. From there, the duo only grew stronger. From 1999 to 2006, Manning and Harrison connected for 112 touchdowns, still the most by any quarterback-receiver pair in NFL history. In 2002, Harrison set an NFL record with 143 receptions for 1,722 yards and 11 touchdowns. In 2004, Manning broke the single-season touchdown record with 49, and 15 of those scores went straight to Harrison. Together, they were untouchable. During their run, the Colts went 95-41, made the playoffs 7 straight years, and finally climbed the mountain in 2006. Manning and Harrison powered Indianapolis to Super Bowl 41, where they beat the Chicago Bears. Harrison caught 20 passes for 312 yards across that postseason run. It was the culmination of a partnership that had been building toward that moment for nearly a decade. But even the greatest duos eventually break. In 2007, Harrison suffered a knee injury that limited him to just 5 games. In 2008, he returned, but wasn't the same. He finished with 60 catches for 636 yards, his lowest total since his rookie year. That offseason, the Colts cut him to clear cap space. Harrison never played another down. Manning carried on without him. Still great, but never quite the same. In 2009, he threw for 4,500 yards and 33 touchdowns, winning his 4th MVP and dragging the Colts back to the Super Bowl. But in the biggest moments, the loss of Harrison loomed large. Reggie Wayne and Dallas Clark were productive, but they couldn't replicate the chemistry or reliability Harrison had given him. Manning's passer rating slipped from the 120 mark he hit in 2004 to under 100. By 2011, Manning's own body failed him. A severe neck injury kept him out for the entire season. And without him, the Colts collapsed to 2-14, bottoming out just 4 years after winning it all. Manning and Harrison together built one of the most precise and relentless passing attacks the league had ever seen. They dragged Indianapolis from obscurity to champions. But once Harrison was gone, the magic disappeared, and the dynasty they had built unraveled just as quickly as it rose. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. For years, the Kansas City Chiefs were good, but never great. From 2013 to 2017, with Alex Smith at quarterback, they made the playoffs 4 times but never reached the Super Bowl. They were efficient, careful, safe, always competitive, never unstoppable. What they needed was a spark. In 2018, that spark arrived. Patrick Mahomes became the starter. Paired with tight end Travis Kelce, Kansas City's offense transformed overnight into the most feared attack in football. From 2018 through 2022, Mahomes threw for over 24,000 yards and 192 touchdowns. Kelce, his go-to weapon, averaged 101 catches, 1,285 yards, and 10 touchdowns per year. He wasn't just consistent, he was redefining the tight end position. In 2020, Kelce shattered the all-time record for yards in a season by a tight end with 1,416. That same year, Mahomes threw 38 touchdowns and carried the Chiefs to a 14-2 record. The partnership powered Kansas City to 5 straight AFC Championship appearances, 3 Super Bowl trips, and 2 Lombardi trophies. In the postseason, they were devastating. Kelce scored 11 playoff touchdowns during that span, second only to Jerry Rice in NFL history. On every third down, every red zone snap, every late-game drive, Mahomes looked for Kelce first. And time after time, he delivered. What made the connection even more remarkable was the price. While elite receivers like DeAndre Hopkins and Tyreek Hill commanded $20 to $25 million annually, Kelce signed extensions worth just $11 to $14 million per year. Kansas City had a future Hall of Famer at a discount, fueling a dynasty. But even the strongest connections fade. In 2023, Kelce finished with 93 catches, 984 yards, and 5 touchdowns. His first season under 1,000 yards since 2015. In 2024, the decline continued. He posted just 78 catches for 850 yards and 4 scores, his lowest output in a decade. His yards per catch fell below 11 for the first time in his career. The drop-off hit Mahomes just as hard. In 2020, his passer rating when targeting Kelce was 118.7. By 2024, it had plummeted to 91.2. For the first time in his career, Kansas City's passing game looked ordinary. The same offense that once ranked first in passing yards and red zone efficiency slipped outside the top 10. Mahomes and Kelce built a dynasty of their own. Together, they rewrote what a quarterback-tight end duo could be. But the decline is here, and the cracks are visible. The question isn't whether they were great. That's already settled. The question is, how much longer the most dangerous connection in football can last? If you want more stories of NFL greatness and collapse, hit subscribe, drop a like, and stick around. The next chapter of football history is already waiting.